Napping bear, straight to Richard Coles. There we go. Nice to see you, my friend.
Hello, I'm arising from hibernation just for you, Jeremy.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so look, straight to it. Here is the new book. Is it number 5? Is that right?
Number 5, yeah.
Oh, Lord. So I'm a big fan of these. This is Death on... I'm going to make sure I get that exactly right with the lights. Death on Location, Richard Coles. The person who is the investigator is a very interesting character called Canon Daniel Clement. And he's got a kind of... I mean, he's always got his own struggles, old Daniel, hasn't he?
Well, yes, I mean, he uncovers the mysteries of the world, but the mysteries of himself also get uncovered. He's one of those... He's a particular type of clergyman. He's calm, he's unflustered, he always knows what he's doing. And then all of a sudden he kind of runs into an aspect of his life which he didn't expect to find, and he gets a bit messed up too.
I remember in one of your books, there's a tip from Daniel Clement, which is that if there's any aggro at any kind of church meeting, you just stand up and say, I think we should pray.
Yes. Exactly.
And I thought, I bet that Richard's done that himself.
Let us pray.
So look, the interesting thing about this, it's called A Death on Location, and can you see the picture there is of a director's chair, and I don't know whether it's just you being very clever, but they have started making TV versions of your books, and you are on set with your headphones on, and I'm imagining your Hitchcock chair.
Well, I haven't quite got a Hitchcock. I do get a chair, and I realise that if you're important on a film set, the one thing you get is headphones. That's how you could tell. It's like a general's epaulettes. That means you've got to bring that guy a sandwich when he wants one. My headphones weren't actually connected to anything. But I was an executive producer.
That's great.
Well, executive producer. I just stood around and talked to the actors, basically.
And your village in the book Champton is fictional, but where are they filming it?
Well, they filmed it in a number of locations, mostly around Warwickshire, actually. So it's weird for me because I have in my head a sort of village, and then all of a sudden there's a real village and it's a bit different, and the characters are all walking around and they're a bit different. But it's great because television is different from books, and so the way you tell those stories through TV is different from the way I tell them in a book.
Yeah, yeah. Tim, what about this? We've got murders in churches now.
Yeah, well, my dad would wish he was here because he's a big fan of your books.
Oh,
and
my regards to. Yeah.
And I love your audio. Murder at Evensong was your first one, wasn't it? And I heard that as one Christmas. I listened to it and went round. I think actually before church, I remember once listening to you, Murder at Evensong.
Now, hang on, I think I listened to Murder in the Monastery. I'm just trying to think. Did you read that? I think you did.
I do, yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. Do you ever have any... When you read your Audible versions, are there any key things where you think, oh, I wish I hadn't written that? For example, a character with a difficult accent.
Well, yes, I had to rewrite one character's origins because I could only just about fake a Manchester accent. My Leeds was a bit dodgy. But it's fun doing it, and also nothing exposes the weaknesses of your prose more than reading it out loud, actually. It's a good exercise.
Have you done an audiobook for your...
I have, actually, yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. What was interesting was, as I read it, there's a producer. You get a very intense relationship with the producer because they have to listen to every word. And I noticed there were moments when her name was Lucy, was much more on it. And I thought, this is a good tip. It's when she's really listening to the content, she's following the story. And it just, I suppose you sort of realise which bits of the book move. That's all. We've always got it's kind of the law that we have to mention the communards when Richard's in. and the funny thing about his books is there's always a little oblique reference in every book to the communards, which I love. So can we just play Don't Leave Me This Way?
Don't you leave me this way. Oh, baby, my heart is full of love and desire for you. So come on down and do what you've got to do. You started the fire down in my soul. I can't see this burning out of control. So come on down and satisfy the need in me. It's all your loving will set me free.
Well, you were rather in the background there, I must say.
That was a wise choice on the part of the PR people. They always used to say, just put him in the back and don't like it. I wasn't a very good pop star.
The thing about... No, but I think the thing about you is you're a proper musician, and I know you play your keyboard, piano, whatever, every day. We have a clip of you playing that song on the organ.
You can give us a bit of communards, could you, on a church organ?
I probably could, if I can remember.
It's going to make me cry. Why is it going to make me cry?
When you're looking down, are you looking at the pedals there?
Well, I was making her cry as I played it so badly. Yeah, I was looking at the pedals.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I played the organ.
So, best-selling author, pop star, broadcaster, that's how we met, of course, dancer, you've been in the jungle, you've done it all.
Dancer, you say?
Well, yes.
It was the worst paso doble in Strictly Come Dancing history, but I did have a go.
Can I also say, a genuinely nice guy as well. There was a moment when I was getting into real trouble on politics with my former party, the Conservatives. And I don't know whether you remember, you sent publicly and privately some really lovely messages to me.
That's nice.
Well, I'm
Just
glad.
said about what I was doing you thought was right, and it meant a lot to me at the time because you were something of a hero of mine, and
Oh, Tim,
you were,
thank
there,
you.
there was a kindness there that, you know.
Well, I've always,
you're
and
a special
also
man.
politically, we're in different camps.
We are.
I've always liked the idea of that not being too important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Richard is on tour as well at the moment with a show called Borderline National Trinket. We can see the tour poster. Just explain the title if you don't mind.
Well, that came from my late husband, David. Someone once described me in his hearing as a national treasure, and he revised it instantly down to borderline national trinket. So that stuff.
And so can we see some dates there? See where Richard's going to be? Have you started the tour yet? Or we?
Yes, I've done Norwich, I've done Guildford, I've done Richmond. It's the kind of towns, the sort of places where the Nando's has an Arga. That's my sort of natural homeland, really.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's great to see you. And I guess whenever you are not in a studio, you're writing. You have to write every day, do you?
Yep, I love writing. I like the discipline of it. I like getting up early and writing. And I like sitting on a train and writing. I like sitting at the kitchen table and writing.
And the joy of writing about murder is you have to constantly think of new ones.
Well, I love that because of the corporate gigs, Jeremy. I get to drop down into somebody's professional world for a day, and the first thing I was asked them is, "How would you kill someone in your line of work?" It's some great answers.
Go on, give us an example.
Oh, well, my favourite, I met some dentists in Egypt. They were very useful on a capsule with a slow-acting poison that you put in a crown. That was a great way of killing someone.
Has that been in yet? No.
No, well, now I've given away, haven't I? Those dentists, me and my big mouth.
OK, here is the new book, Richard Coles, Death on Location, out now. Tickets are available to see Richard on tour, the Borderline National Trinket Tour. There it is. Well, stay with us, Richard. Let's talk about some more stories in the papers. In The Guardian, Tim, Rachel Reeves talking about a spending splurge, I guess you call it, to placate these very upset Labour MPs.
Well, I may be wrong about this, but I think this is money already basically announced that she's allocating in a new way. I could be wrong about this, but what I hear, I do a podcast with Steve Richards, who's much more sort of plugged into the left than I am, and we did a recording yesterday, and he says this, behind the scenes, this is getting really bloody between cabinet ministers because putting all this extra money into defence, the NHS needs money, and the economy is slower than they thought. They've had the biggest tax rise increasing budget in last autumn. They said they wouldn't have to come back for more. Then you've had all the Trump tariffs, the economy's going south, and the picture, I'm not a fan of Rachel Reeves, but the climate in which she's operating in is so tough. And as we saw was it last week, a couple of weeks ago, with that leaks memo from Angela Rayner, there's now Labour people saying, do we have to cut so much? Shouldn't we increase taxes? And I think the average British person thinks they're paying enough tax.
Well, they're also going to reverse a bit of the winter fuel allowance, which I thought.
But that, to be honest, the weird thing about the winter fuel allowance, although it's upset people so much, it's not actually that expensive. It was about £1.5 billion, and some of those figures that you were talking, £15 billion here. It was one of the reasons it was so foolish. They didn't actually save much money.
Richard.
I think they've got a real problem with some of their sort of principal stakeholders. There was that promise about investing in social housing, which I think absolutely should be a priority for a Labour government. There was a certain number of billions that were put down and said to be a down payment on future investment. I don't see where that investment's going to come from. And that's going to alienate a lot of people who I think rightly identify social housing as something which needs that kind of support.
This is for Northern Transport, and they're talking about trams in the north and everything else. Echoes of HS2 suddenly, and all that money that went and just was blown up. What do you think, Io? Because maybe we just have to say we're bust and we can't spend anything.
I think it's, honestly, Tim's right, it's a really challenging economic climate for any government. If it's Conservative, it'd still be the same. I think it's really challenging, and I think it's just about how do we deliver more value for the public without taxing people to the point where it's almost untenable with the cost of living. And some of the key priorities will be how can we boost the economy? How can we encourage small businesses who can then actually help us bolster our economy long term? I think we need to look at growth.
Yeah, but that's what they.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can't. But they won an election promising growth, and then everyone realised that you can't actually promise growth. It does not. You can't control growth as a government. Well, I mean, Trump is just going to spend loads of money. You think you can?
Well, I think to govern is to choose. And I don't think this government has really chosen what it wants to do. So I thought they were right in opposition to say they wanted to have prioritised growth. But you can't then pile loads of taxes, loads of new employment laws, loads of controls on renters, if you want to do growth. Have growth and then spend that money on the things that Labour governments like spending money on. Don't throttle the economy in the first place.
I mean, you can't control the world, can you? And with Trump's economic policy, especially kind of funding multi-trillion-dollar tax cuts, what's that going to do to America's borrowing? What's that going to do to the treasuries markets and the bond markets worldwide? Does not suggest that it's going to be an easy economic climate.
No.
It's harder to find the money, right?
We must go back to murder, because there is a real-life murder in Australia we've been following intently here, and it is the woman who poisoned her family with a Wellington pie which used very poisonous mushrooms. Her name is Erin Patterson. She's accused of doing it deliberately, murdering her sister, her estranged husband's parents and aunt. So wait a minute, is that 4 victims? This is a very, very poisonous beef Wellington, this. It had death cap mushrooms in July 2023. We got the article. The defence is, oh dear, it's a mistake, I'm sorry, Richard. Daniel Clement would be straight onto this, I tell you.
Well, in a way, of course, there's something in it which I think would attract the eye of any crime writer. But in reality, this is a terrible, terrible case and a terrible, terrible death inflicted in one way. Whether it's deliberate or not, we have yet to determine. I have to say, just looking at what I've seen of coverage, I'm not sure I would rush to a barbecue in her house.
No. Yeah, it's A, it's bad. B, how did the mushrooms get in there when they were out of season? Answer, she had to pick them in season and then store them in a dehumidifier, which suggests that there's something deliberate. It's not an accident. Where was the dehumidifier? Answer, they found it on a council skip. Now, at that point, there are questions to answer. Let's just say. Do you agree?
I mean, there are questions for sure. I think I'd be thinking twice about anyone ever offering me mushrooms and anything.
Yes.
But it does sound...
Hold the beef Wellington.
It was, in her defence, she says, I'm a forager.
Yeah, and she's part of a Facebook group, so clearly maybe she was trying to learn.
What a miracle that she was not affected, isn't it?
Yeah, well, she also served the food on different coloured plates. And there's a set, because her children were given different coloured plates. Anyway, OK, we want to hear the whole defence, because it's going to be interesting. In the Times, the England team ride Lime bikes to the Oval, which are faster than going by bus, apparently. Well, they are, we know that.
I know, hilarious. It was stuck in traffic, and I guess it's quite an innovative way of getting to a match, right? I quite like that, actually.
Look at this, isn't this wonderful? So, yeah, this is... there was a traffic jam, the coaches were stuck. I think the West Indies were stuck. Yeah. And they just basically cruised there. Look at this.
You love that, Joe.
I do love it.
You're always riding a bike.
I do love it. Yeah. I think in the centre of London, I hate to mention London too often, but it is very, very congested with traffic, and you just can glide by. Will footballers do that, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe they should, and maybe this is what we should be doing, encouraging everyone to get involved in active travel.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, why they're on a coach. I suppose insurance-wise, that's the problem, Richard, isn't it? If you actually came off and hurt your ankle...
I wouldn't want to pay for Declan Rice's new ankle.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's
That's true, yeah. In the Mail, Richard, from losing keys to a flickering Wi-Fi, the little things that drive us mad. Now, what are these? I'm interested in this.
Well, we have a nice list here. Stuck in traffic is number one. I've learned to be very zen about being stuck in traffic, not just because I can get on a Lime bike. We don't have them in East Sussex. But actually, because there's nothing you can do about it. Don't stress about things you know nothing about. Bin bag breaks when you take it out. Don't overfill your bin bag. The one that drives me mad more than anything is people who walk slowly.
Yes!
Don't you think there should be at least 2 lanes in central London? Tourist lane and people who've got to go to work lane.
But I think that's just that's our problem, that, isn't it? We shouldn't be annoyed by people, particularly you, if you're man of the cloth. You can't be, yes.
People who walk slowly, that's semi-forgivable. But people who like in a row of 3 walking slowly,
or a
you
5.
can't get past. You know,
That's kind of
that
People
should
who
be
walk
illegal.
really slowly should
Yeah.
have to wear
Not
special
illegal,
hats,
maybe-
I think.
Yeah. And I think Amy was having an idea about, someone I was talking to had an idea about two airports. Airports for people in a hurry
Yeah.
and airports for people who are not in a hurry.
It's never in a hurry.
People who
Well-
can't use ticket machines. Why am I always behind them in a queue?
Oh,
And they
guilty.
can't, yeah.
Do you know, I was at Victoria the other day and I couldn't work the ticket machine. I was in a dog collar actually, but the person behind me couldn't see that. And he said, press that, press that. And I turned around and I said, in a moment of fluency, I said, the ruder you are, the slower I'll be.
Fantastic.
What did he say back?
I can't tell you what he said back. It wasn't very nice.
I'm sorry,
I had a
Richard. I shouldn't have said that to you.
I'll try this on you. I've got a computer at home, right? Like it's a Mac at home. I had a keyboard that was sort of not a Mac one, and it wasn't working well. So I buy myself a fancy. It's called a Magic keyboard, a Mac one. But when I connect it, the brightness button doesn't work and the volume button doesn't work. And it's not a fault. It's just that it must be incompatible or something. And I spent an hour last night troubleshooting. And why do I need a brightness button anyway? You know? And I'm just like in despair.
I've done a thing. So I've got these these bag tags you
Oh,
can
yeah.
put on, so that it will locate your bag wherever it is. But will they pair with my phone? They won't pair with.
Right.
Is there a chat?
Is it an
function that
AirTag?
works?
No.
No, there's not. No, it's not. That's a different model. All right, I got the cheap one. My fault. But is there a chat thing that works? No, there's not a chat thing that works. Do the instructions tell you what you need to know? No, they don't.
Is it a tile? Is it
I'm
that
locked.
one?
I'm not going to tell you what it is. But I'm locked out of the technology through my.
Yeah, and there's no human being, is there? We're getting a better list together here. It's having
Which was the other button? The brightness button? Or what was the other
the
button?
volume button. They don't
Volumes,
work on the
really?
keyboard.
That's cute.
No. Well, exactly. Richard, thank you so much for coming in. Oh, I'm going to hold up the book again.
Thank you.
I nearly buried it by accident there, like many of Richard's victims. A Death on Location is out now. Tickets are available to see the great Reverend Coles on tour. More after the break. Matt will join us. Look at that. Isn't that great? The Borderline National Trinket Tour. We'll discuss in a moment whether a new height filter on a dating app is unfair on short men.